Karate Kid Legends is an enjoyable movie, but it's also kind of disappointing at the same time, so let's talk about it. But as always, before we get started, if you're new here, my name is Aaron and I talk all things movies and TV, but really mostly movies, so if you're into that sort of thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. It would be greatly appreciated. And also, while you're at it, if you like my videos, hit that like button as well. And if you've seen the movie, of course, leave your thoughts on it down below in the comments. But without further ado, let's talk about Karate Kid Legends. Coming off the heels of Cobra Kai, which is a show that I very much enjoyed, and I loved how they wrapped that show up and how that thing ended, I was really excited for a new Karate Kid movie. And then you throw Ralph Macchio in there along with Jackie Chan, and I was just like, man, sign me up. But after seeing this movie, even though I enjoyed parts of it, all I could think was, and this is something you're probably going to hear me say a lot in this review, but that is that this movie could have been so much better. In this film, we follow a young boy who essentially is a kung fu prodigy, and he is played by Wang. But once he moves to New York with his mom, he enters a karate tournament to take on a bully and help a friend, but must learn to combine both karate and kung fu from Mr. Han and Daniel LaRusso if he wants to win. Jumping right into the good, and the first thing I have here is just this cast in general. I think everyone did a good job and they were a lot of fun to watch. They all had solid chemistry with each other, and that led to some genuinely funny moments in this movie. Wang played our main character Li Fong, and I think he did a good job. He was extremely likable and charming as our main character, and he did a solid job at carrying a big part of this film, which I think is very important because this is the Karate Kid franchise at the end of the day, and when you are the Karate Kid in one of these movies, a lot falls on your shoulders, and I think he did a great job at taking that on. I do think there was an opportunity for them to do a little bit more with his character in this, but as far as what he brought to the table, he was a great lead character in this thing. His relationship with Sadie Stanley's character was one of the better parts of the film, and they both had great chemistry together, and that led to some fun, really charming moments between the two. And then we also had Joshua Jackson, aka Charlie Conway from the Mighty Ducks, and as a huge Mighty Ducks fan myself, it's just always fun and cool for me to see him on screen. Jackie Chan was his usual self along with Ralph Macchio, but those two didn't play as big of a role as I thought they would in this thing, and I'll get into that in just a sec. But anyways, even though this movie's script wasn't the strongest, I think this cast did a great job at getting everything they could out of it. Next up for the good is the action, and this is probably the best part of the movie for me. I think they did a great job with the fight choreography, and I'll even go as far to say that this is some of the best fight choreography that we've gotten in this entire franchise. I had a lot of fun watching all of these action scenes. I mean, they even had Jackie Chan out there moving around a little bit as well, and the fact that he is in his 70s still doing all of his own fight choreography and stunts for this movie is just so impressive, and I guess that's why he is a legend. A lot of the action did fall on Wang's shoulders, and for the most part he did all of his fight choreography and stunts himself as well. Some of the more complicated stuff he obviously didn't do, but as far as the hand-to-hand combat, that was all him, and he did a really good job at it. He even admitted that he actually sliced off the tip of his pinky while they were filming one of the fight scenes, so just like big kudos to him because he was really all in for this movie, and his performance and everything he did on screen turned out really well. In terms of style, it was mostly kung fu with a little bit of karate mixed in once Ralph Macchio finally made his appearance, but you could really see Jackie Chan's influence on the fight choreography in this movie, and at times when Wang was fighting, it really reminds you of a young Jackie Chan. Moving on to the so-so, and the first thing I have here is what they did with Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio. Now, I'm gonna be honest, the trailers straight up lied to us. One of the main selling points for this movie is that Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio were going to be in this movie, and I guess they were kind of telling the truth because they were in the movie, just not very much. It just seemed like they were going to play a much bigger role in the story from the trailers, but they just didn't. Jackie Chan's character Mr. Han at least had a personal relationship with Lee, but one could make the argument that Ralph Macchio didn't need to be in this movie at all. And that's no disrespect to him. Performance-wise, I think he was fine, but Daniel LaRusso didn't really add anything to the story, and it kind of just felt like they threw him in this movie to sell tickets. I mean, he was nowhere to be found until the third act of this thing, and really the first hour of this movie, both him and Jackie Chan were pretty much non-existent, as this story was going in a completely different direction. Considering how much they advertised those two for this movie, it was just really disappointing that they didn't play a bigger role in this thing, and that really sucks because when they did interact on screen together, it was really good. The next thing I have for the so-so is that this story just felt very bare bones and surface level. It was fine for what it was, but I just feel like there was a lot more room for us to explore our characters a little bit more. But due to the story really feeling rushed all the way through this thing, when we did have those potentially good character moments, we just didn't sit with them long enough for us to really feel the weight of them. There was this subplot of Lee losing his brother, which I thought was solid, but I think that element of the film could have been great if they just would have gave themselves a little bit more time to slow things down and breathe a little bit so they could explore that relationship. I think if we were able to explore more of the dynamics of that relationship and what that relationship meant to Lee, it would have gave this movie some heart and substance, which is something that it very much lacked. Again, it was fine for what it was, but it just felt like there was so much more meat on the bone there, and if they would have given that relationship a bigger spotlight, I think it not only would have took Lee's character, but this entire movie to a whole other level. It would have made those bigger moments with Lee's character hit so much harder, along with the ending as well. But instead, the second half of this movie is pretty much just a montage of karate training and the karate tournament, and there was no real payoff to anything. The best way I can describe this movie is that it has lots of good individual parts, but it can't seem to put all of those pieces together to make this movie great. And that sucks, because while I was watching this, yes, I enjoyed it and I thought it was fine for what it was, but I couldn't help but think that, man, there is a great movie in there somewhere, you just gotta find it. And finally, getting into the bad, and the only thing I have here is that this movie plays it really safe and follows that typical Karate Kid formula. And if you've ever seen a Karate Kid movie in the past, then it's safe to say that you have seen this movie as well. I mean, you could probably guess how the story goes. Kid moves to a new city, he meets a girl in that city, and that girl has an old boyfriend or friend that's really good at karate, but also a bully, so that friend bullies our main character. Our main character goes off and gets some training, and then he faces off against that bully in some big karate tournament. Now, I will give them credit, in the first half of the movie, they did do something a little bit different, and you were like, oh, that's interesting. But once we got to the second half of the movie, and Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan showed up, they completely abandoned that storyline and went back to hitting all the usual beats that a Karate Kid movie hits, and following all of those same tropes. With the first and second half of this movie, it kind of felt like someone went and wrote a script for the first half of one movie, and then someone went and wrote the second half of the script for another movie, and then they took those two scripts and just mashed them together, and that gave us Karate Kid Legends. So yeah, this movie doesn't do anything special or different to set itself apart from the other Karate Kid movies. It's pretty run-of-the-mill, and I think it's gonna be pretty forgettable at the end of the day, which sucks because I do truly think that this movie had all of the elements to be a great Karate Kid film, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't, in my opinion. It was just fine for what it was. So to sum it all up, yes, this movie is enjoyable. The cast is fun, and it has some of the best fight choreography in the entire franchise, but the rushed story, lack of substance, and the formulaic approach will make this movie pretty forgettable at the end of the day. Those are my thoughts on Karate Kid Legends. Be sure to let me know what you thought of the movie down in the comments, and as always, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, get your Eazy Apparel at shopeasyapparel.com. God bless, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.